Hello and welcome to a Warframe video. So in this video I wanted to essentially share one of my Hildryn builds, which I found was actually very useful and very fun to play with. Now, most people who have their hands on Hildryn mod her for either using her either for tanking, being a unkillable tank in some ways, or pillaging and destroying everything, mostly destroying everything with her fourth power while up in the air, essentially being a sky dominator or whatever. And yeah, it's actually, while it's effective, I can definitely tell that it is effective. The rest of her powers actually offer some pretty good team qualities that I think are actually very good to go with. If you want to essentially take the back seat and be simply a support, supporting other defenses or DPS warframes, then yeah, and you want a nice support, this is one recommendation that I would simply share simply by playing and having fun. So in this part, you can actually see me building it up and coming up with it as I'm going along. It was an experimental build, and for the most part it actually worked pretty well. I used enemy radar because shield, in order to properly aim shield pillage, which is Hildryn's second power, which drains the shield from any enemy caught within an AoE radius and then gives it to her and her allies, either as shields or over shields. And enemy radar, essentially, this particular build is very useful for large groups, specifically groups that are centered around defense or survival or interception, where there are a lot of enemies, whether it's Corpus or Grenier. Infested, not recommended. She's not really that good with Infested. So enemy radar essentially allows the player to essentially properly know where to bomb, look for those where those enemies are massed out the most, and then use it to then use shield pillage in order to get the most out of it. Now, redirection, primed vigor, adaptation, they are a must if you want your Hildryn to be able to survive. I recommend those to be there at all times. And now I wanted a long range build. I was curious to find out how effective would shield pillage be if I had as much range as possible, enough range to make it have an enormous, to siphon as much energy from multiple enemies as possible, while at the same time not having too much reduction in my strength so that I gain more shield than I'm actually giving. And this not only affected shield pillage, it also affected Haven, Hildryn's third power, which is an AoE that she does that allows her to essentially give energy to give shields to her allies, while at the same time creating a kind of beam to multiple enemies that will deal continuous damage, while at the same time crowd control them. And with this build, because I am using a negative duration, the cost of my abilities take a hit. Like shield pillage will cost more, has less duration when active, and my Haven has, well, it drains more per ally and per enemy, while giving less shield recharge. However, the damage is great, the range is great, and because of shield pillage, as long as there are many enemies around, shield pillage will essentially give you more shield than you are losing. So a bit of balance between shield pillage and Haven is actually the key to this build, because you're activating Haven to support your teammates and also crowd control enemies, while at the same time using shield pillage to always keep your shields high as possible. And yeah, you'll be spamming that. You'll essentially be spamming, conservatively spamming shield pillage in order to keep your shields and your overshields for you and your allies always high, while at the same time using Haven when necessary in order to crowd control enemies as well as support your teammates. As long as you have loads of enemies, as long as the area is literally littered with enemies, yeah, your shield pillage will be giving you more shield than you will be losing. And yeah, so far I've been able to, it's actually very useful, it's effective, it provides teamwork, and it also makes you relevant. Now, at my current testing, I am also using some low-level weapons, just experimenting. This was the first time I actually used this. Yeah, surprisingly enough, it was actually very, very effective. I was able to support my my team, which was comprised of 2 Necroses. I don't know how they were built, but Necros isn't a very good survivalist that much if he's not using his undead, and no one here was using the dead. They were all desecrate builds, and the our other teammate was, I believe, an Excalibur Umbra, I think, probably. I don't remember. But yeah, the whole point was I used this as a support build, and yeah, none of us went down. My shield was always up regardless, and I actually kept Haven up. I only deactivated Haven whenever the waves would end, just to not waste unnecessary shields when there's no enemies around. As soon as enemies start popping up, I'd use shield pillage, get some nice little overshields, and then activate Haven again, and then just keep on using enemy radar to aim for the largest crowds, and then used shield pillage again to just keep on draining that shield, while at the same time it would also strip enemies from, I guess it takes from their armor and their shields as well, so I guess that benefits even better. Yeah, that was the whole plan. And it worked. It worked at being a very successful and effective support. So if once you are in a team and you don't want to just, take to the skies and kill everything, or just, I don't know, just be a tank, yeah, I mean, this would actually work as a tank as well. So yeah, you could definitely use it as that. And yeah, I'm very happy with this build. I'm actually considering I go into public games a lot, it actually became very handy. So yeah. Thanks for watching, stay cool, I hope you found this video useful, and I'll see you later. Bye!